Thanks very much for that. We're also being joined by Dr. P. Raghu, President of the Association of Surgeons India, who's joining us once again. It's great to have you again on the show, Dr. Raghu. Let's take our next caller. Ramnath is calling us from Mumbai this morning. Good morning, Ramnath. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, I just have two questions. One is like, can we use air conditioner in the evening? Because it's now we are in summer, I wanted to understand if we can use air conditioner in the evening.
Okay.
The second question is, can we go for a half an hour run or a jog in the evening?
All right. Well, where would you do that, given that there is a total lockdown and you aren't actually, unless you have a terrace or something, you're lucky enough to do that. Dr. Akhiram, would you like to take both those questions?
Yes. Good morning, Ankita. Yes, regarding air conditioning, there is nothing that prevents you from using air conditioning. The important thing is personal hygiene and to consciously avoid taking your hand to the mouth, nose or eyes. With regards to jogging, yes, if as Ankita said, in your own place, if you do it, that's the best thing, and it's best not to go to parks where there will be other people, because there is a possibility of transmission. So because this is transmitted by droplet infection, and it's best to avoid any crowded place or public places.
Dr. Godse, if you want to, give us a sense of how the US is actually dealing with this, because their restrictions don't seem to be as total or as comprehensive as they are here in India right now. We've just heard Donald Trump, in fact, extend social distancing restrictions now by another couple of weeks or so till the end of April. But for instance, would it be all right to walk or jog in parks where you are?
Yes. In fact, there's some conflicting news. They were saying that they have closed Yellowstone. Now, Yellowstone is as big as Maharashtra, so we are talking about a big park. But then they declared that all the national parks are now free. So they are encouraging people actually to get exercise. And these parks are so huge.
Yeah.
So when we maintain social distance about 1 meter, and when I went to park this morning, there was no place to park in.
Right.
So there are like a lot of people coming out, weather is changing. So of course, and in United States, I think it would be a little harder to enforce it. Like, I mean, unless you do like a legal curfew and you follow it.
Yeah.
Means, they tend to, Indians in US tend to make fun of, Indians are not going to listen. But I think India seems to have done really well, in terms of
well, apart from a few exceptions, including the exodus of migrant workers, I think that is true. We have our next caller online. Yogeshwar Rao is calling us from Hyderabad this morning. Good morning, Yogeshwar. Your question?
Good morning, Ankita and the team of doctors. Because this is about the symptoms. Actually, initially runny nose was there, but these days emphasis on three factors, that is SOB, high fever and a dry cough. Now I wanted to, my query is, which combination of these three are very serious, and are individually everything is serious and calling a doctor?
All right, fair enough. You're asking about the symptoms and at what point you should really take note and perhaps seek help. Dr. Raghuram, you want to respond? I mean, the symptoms are so very similar to other forms of common colds, flu, etc.
Incubation period for... Yes, the incubation period for coronavirus is anywhere from 1 to 14 days. And usually the symptoms start around the 4th or 5th day. And they start off with sore throat, dry cough, high fever, and then if it gets worse, it leads on to breathlessness or short of breath. So basically, when someone has a runny nose, they don't need to be worried, but it's important to isolate yourself at home. The time that you need to be worried is if there is shortness of breath, which usually develops around 7th or 8th day after getting infected. So that's the time that you must not delay, and you must contact the COVID helpline. In majority of the cases, the sore throat is not an issue. Isolated symptoms are not an issue. So cough, dry cough, high fever, and shortness of breath, particularly shortness of breath, must be taken seriously.
All right.
I'll just quickly add two things.
Yes. Go ahead.
One is like some abdominal symptoms, like diarrhea and abdominal pain. They are also, most of it is anecdotal, but now we are gathering more data. In fact, some studies show that if you have, small studies, that if you have abdominal symptoms like diarrhea, the overall prognosis could be a little more severe. That's one thing. And second thing is Mayo Clinic is also reporting, and I found it on my own patients that I diagnosed, that loss of sense of smell, anosmia, and loss of taste could be a hint that you could be having this. Means there is enough reports out there now that I can add this to the symptom.
Right.
And like they say, even paranoid people have enemies. So not everything is COVID. So don't be freaked out.
Well, I think we're all hypochondriacs right now, Dr. Godse. I think the smallest of symptoms
it's okay
sets
to have
people
a little bit
worrying.
of
So
fun.
it's important to hear you say that, and it's reassuring to hear you say that.
No,
Let's get
Ankita,
some more callers at this point. Ravi Kumar calling us from Bengaluru this morning. Ravi, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, so good morning. See, we have pets at home.
Pets,
We have
yes.
pets at home. We
Yeah.
take him for a walk on the street, and suppose he contacts the virus, and does it affect us again?
Dr. Raghuram, do pets get affected by COVID-19? And is
Yes. So it's very important that when someone take their pets out and then bring the pets back home, just as we would wash our hands for 20 seconds with soap and water, it's very important to keep our pets also clean. So it's important to clean the pet's paws, and it's important to look after our pets at this time. Just as we take precautions, we need to take similar precautions for our pets as well.
But Dr. Raghuram, can a dog or cat actually get COVID-19, or is it just the fear of maybe bringing droplets home?
Yes, that's right. It's just bringing droplets home, so it's just contaminated surfaces. So the precautions that we take, it applies to pets, but the transmission never happens from the pets to human beings. It is human to human by droplet infection.
Right. I'm going to take a few more callers and then come back to you for answers. Muzaffar is calling from Srinagar. Muzaffar, good morning. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, Muzaffar, we can hear you. What's your question?
Let me first of all congratulate NDTV team.
Thank you very much.
Let me first of all congratulate NDTV team. Let me first of all congratulate the entire team of NDTV for keeping these doctors available for us. It means that we have not to go to these hospitals for making queries.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. And we'll be here every morning for that. But do tell us your question also.
We are highly thankful to the entire team of NDTV.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now,
go ahead with your question.
So far as I am concerned, I am living in the periphery of Srinagar. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
I am living in the periphery of Srinagar.
Yes.
And I am fond of gardening.
You are fond of?
Gardening.
Sorry, we can't really...
As far as atmosphere and weather in Srinagar is concerned...
Oh, gardening. Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Yes, as far as atmosphere in Srinagar is concerned, it is quite awesome.
All right. So is your question really whether you can continue gardening or not?
Yes, it is compelling for we people to be in the lawn.
Okay. All right. So either of you,
I'll
Dr.
give you a short answer.
Is
Yes,
it all right to be sort of in your own garden, outside? I mean, it should be all right, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Okay. Let's get a few more callers. Devendra calling us from Kanpur this morning. Devendra, what's your question?
Hi, good morning. Actually, my issue is that we are living in a society of 50 flats. Okay. And we have ensured that we don't have any visitors like maids or any service providers, and all that has been checked.
Right.
And we are ensuring also that the residents also are not going out. So in such a situation, can the inmates of the residence of the society interact with each other without any threat of infection and all that?
Okay, we'll come to that in a moment. I'll take just a couple more questions first. Shabir Ahmed is calling us from Srinagar this morning. Shabir, good morning. What's your question?
My question is that I am a patient. I am already having transplanted my kidney.
Okay.
And this time I am taking the immunosuppressant. Dr. Saab is well aware that the kidney transplant patients are taking the immunosuppressant, which already keeps this immunity down. And this fear of coronavirus And this time we are not having a facility so that I can contact my nephrologist. What dose I can take this immunosuppressant? Shall I reduce the dose, or shall I keep the dose like that I am taking previously?
Right. Shabir, I think we try and encourage people to, if you have specific medical questions on your own condition, then to try and reach out to telemedicine providers rather than call in on this show. But Dr. Raghuram, let's try and address some of those questions, at least in a colony, in a gated colony where all precautions are being taken. There is no one from outside being allowed inside. Do social distancing norms still have to be followed strictly by residents who are not having any contact with the outside world?
Yes. I would prefer to use the word term physical distancing.
Yes.
I think it's important to have this physical distancing even though you're cut off from the outside world, because there is an element of incubation period for about 14 days. So you don't know the people that you're dealing with or interacting with could be infected. And through droplet infection, some of the surfaces could be infected. And then if we touch the surfaces and this hand comes to the face, then it's possible for someone to get infected. So I think it's best to stay put in your home and connect with your family rather than with the inmates within the building.
Even if you're not in contact with anyone outside your colony and there are no known cases within. Nagarajan calling us from Hyderabad this morning. Good morning. Go ahead.
Good morning. My question is, can individually go for a walk as a single person? Morning walk?
All right. So, Dr. Raghuram, once again, I think there are very clear rules that are in operation over here as per the current lockdown. And my understanding is that, you can only walk immediately outside your home. Is that correct? And not go to parks or public areas?
Absolutely. I think in your home, in your balcony, in your garden, within your premises, you could do, and you exercise within your premises, but not outside in public places.
All right. Naresh calling us from Mumbai. Naresh, well, I believe we can't go across to Naresh yet. We will take a very quick break on the show. I'd ask both Dr. Godse and Dr. Raghuram to stay on with us. We're going to be answering your questions. Keep those calls coming. You can call 8377088377. We'll be back in just a moment. We're taking your questions live on COVID-19 with medical experts who are with us. Wilson Thomas from Bengaluru is on the phone line with us. Wilson, good morning. What's your question?
Good morning to all of you. My question is, the Prime Minister has ordered a complete lockdown of the country to prevent the spread of this virus. In some organizations, they require people to come to do essential duties.
Right.
So if that is the case, what are the precautions that the individual who has to go for duty and the organization has to take so that this can be contained? I think the distance has to be maintained. All these things are there. So is the organization bound to follow this? And what are the precautions the individual should take? Because skeletal staff keeps changing. One day some other people will be coming from outside, the next day, so computer terminals, all those things are bound to get contaminated. So what is the precaution that the organization should take to prevent the contamination as well as the individual?
All right, that's an important question. Dr. Godse, if you'd like to try and address that. We're working in, those of us who are in essential services and still have to come to work for the functions we perform are doing so in shifts. There are smaller groups, but by and large, what precautions should organizations be taking?
Yes, of course, it can remain on the surfaces for a couple hours, maybe even more than a couple hours. We don't know how long. So they should be, and it's very easy to kill that virus because it is enveloped virus. So cleaning the surfaces like desktop. Before I use desktop or if I use the phone, I try and use my cell phone. I clean everything, means cleaning all those spaces. And I'm coming up with a tip, means I wanted to add something, which I think we can all use, is to use your non-dominant hand.
Okay.
When you are outside. If you're right-handed, use your left hand to open the door, to touch anything, to push the door, to push the transfer. Consciously. So subconsciously, when you go and scratch your face, it will always be your dominant hand. most likely.
Okay.
So you're trying to protect your face because that's how the transmission is, from a surface to your face.
Okay,
so I think that would be one important thing.
That's an interesting tip. Anything you'd like to add, Dr. Raghuram?
Yeah, yes, particularly as someone is going for work, and they're in essential service, obviously they'll be going to work every day and then they'll be coming back home. And if you have elders at home, it's very important to stay away from elders very consciously, because if the elderly people at home, your parents or grandparents, get infected, then the chances of this infection turning very serious could be very high. So you should avoid close contact with elderly. And also when you come back, it's best to have a shower and then wash the clothes that you have worn for the day. And that's very important. And at workplace specifically, I think the people who are employing the staff must be very sensitive to their needs, and they must ensure that they're kept comfortable there.
All right. Thanks very much.
Let me just quickly add, if you are feeling sick, wear a mask.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can give it to others.
Right.
You might have a pretty face, but just go ahead and still wear it.
Certainly. All right. Aparna calling us from Vijayawada this morning. Aparna, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning all. So my question is, in my family, I have 3 senior citizens and I'm very much concerned about their health. And they are highly dependent on milk and green leafy vegetable. So my question is it safe to consume milk and green vegetable, since we don't know who milked the cow or who plucked those vegetables? So can I offer these things to my elderly person?
Okay, Dr. Raghuram?
Yes, it's very important to look after the elderly at home, parents, grandparents, and this is not contaminated. The infection doesn't get passed on through the medium of food. So giving milk or green leafy vegetables is not going to be harmful at all. In fact, it would be good that they are having a nutritious diet.
But Dr. Raghuram, if these are coming from the outside, do we need to sort of make sure that they're kept sufficiently clean? What about salads? Is it okay to eat salads, or should we only have cooked vegetables?
I think at this moment in time, anything that is brought outside, vegetables, they should be kept ideally for about 24 hours. And then they should be thoroughly washed and they should be cooked. It's best to avoid eating non-cooked foods like salads at the moment. And it's very, very important to ensure personal hygiene. So after dealing with these vegetables and before cooking and after cooking, it's important to wash one's hands very meticulously for 20 seconds with soap and water.
Right. Okay, I'm just going to...
And if the milk comes in a bottle, just wipe the top,
Pardon? If it comes in a carton?
If milk comes in a bottle, just wipe the top.
Wipe the carton. So anything really that's coming from the outside, it's very, very important to sanitize first. All right, we'll leave it at that. Dr. P. Raghuram and Dr. Ravi Godse, thank you very much indeed for being with us this morning and answering our viewers' questions. Remember, we'll be here at the same time tomorrow and indeed the rest of the week to take your questions. And indeed, those questions do keep changing as we find out more about COVID-19. The battle continues. Keep watching.